Testing, just pay attention, don't make any silly mistakes, and David Coulthard surely now has this Grand Prix in his pocket. Coulthard then is going to take the 10 points, a brilliant drive.
David Coulthard then comes across the start-finish line and wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. His first victory in Brazil, his first win for 10 Grand Prix, and second place will be Michael Schumacher, who led this race and who thought probably he had it in the bag, but he didn't. Nick Heidfeld does indeed finish on the podium for Sauber. It's been an extraordinary afternoon here. We're waiting for Olivier Panis, who's going to be fourth for British American Racing, ahead of Jarno Trulli, who will be fifth for Jordan, and Fisichella will get the final point for the Benetton team, which will give them an awful lot to smile about after a terrible first two Grand Prix. But the winner of this race, and look how happy he is, David Coulthard of Great Britain wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. So David Coulthard comes into the Parc Ferme, and well, he's 6 points behind Michael Schumacher in the World Championship now, and Mika Häkkinen there.
Yeah, that's a great sporting gesture. Mika Häkkinen, the first one to congratulate David Coulthard, helping him get out of the car. Strictly speaking, no other team members are allowed in that Parc Ferme, but I don't think anybody's going to be too bothered about Mika Häkkinen in there. Good sporting stuff for this Formula One race. It's been a very exciting race. Mature drive there. We said right from the beginning, didn't we? Coulthard was sitting pretty after all the dramas at the start, after Häkkinen stalled on the line, and Schumacher looking rather dejected as he climbs out of the Ferrari.
Oh, there you're back with us at Interlagos. Well, David Coulthard was disqualified here last year, but now, just a few days after his 30th birthday, he has dedicated his first victory in Brazil to his sister Lindsay on her birthday.
Great birthday present for you, but I understand you're giving this one to your sister for her birthday.
Yeah, it's her birthday today, so when I spoke to her before I came out here, she said that's all she wanted would be a win. So a nice cheap way, maybe a hot and sweaty way for me to get her a present, but I know she's in Spain with my parents just now, so I'll be seeing them next week.
You can't win everything, that's impossible. I knew that there will be the time when our winning time is over and where we have to suffer maybe for a while. I hope the while is a short while, and we continue winning in Imola.
Ross, another wet, dry race, but this one just didn't work out for you.
Well, we got the wet tyres on at the right time, and I was thinking that we've been pretty lucky, but Michael reported that there was a problem with the car at that stage, and you saw him spin, and he really was finding it very difficult, so we've got to look into it and find out why the car was so bad.
You put on the Inters, was that why the car was spinning, or was it a handling imbalance?
No, it was a handling imbalance, and he'd been complaining about it in the dry, and it was even worse when we put the wets on, so yeah, no, there was a problem with the car somewhere.
I feel really good because you get maybe one or two opportunities during a race to catch someone like that, and you know, at one point I couldn't see anything on the track, and I was just praying that there wasn't a car stopped in the circuit, but when I did manage to come out of the spray again, I saw Michael pulled his inside and then took the place, and the car was working very well. Phil Prue and Mark Gillen, my two engineers, done a very good job and coming up with a good setup, so I'm delighted for them and for the whole guys, because they've given me a reliable car 3 races.
Obviously, you can imagine, you know, it was a very disappointing situation. When the red lights came on, I put the RPM up in the car, in the engine, and I started finding a bite point on the clutch, and when I did that, suddenly clutch bite very aggressively, and I told the engine, whatever I'm going to tell you, you know, it's not probably 100% exact information, because we have to get more data out of the car, and obviously the car is at the side of the main straight, so we cannot have the data yet. So I'm sure the team going to let you know, guys, exactly detailed what went wrong.
Just tell us how you felt stood up there on the podium for the first time.
Well, it was amazing. The best thing was just crossing the line, because I had some little problems looking at the pit board, and I just saw Frentzen going to the left, and then I looked, okay, I just thought that it was the third position, but I was not really able to see how many laps it was to go. I knew that it was close, because the guy on the top with the checkered flag was waiting already for a couple of laps, and I hope for the race to finish soon.
Olivier, I was in your garage, and there was an enormous cheer went up towards the end of that race.
Yeah, well, it's a very tough race for mechanics and for us, but I push all the time. And dry condition and wet condition, the car is quite good. Anyway, we marked 2 points. It's quite very important for the team. but Jacques stopped before me and I waited finish to put my tires. But I think so we need to think about this to discuss for the next Grand Prix. But anyway, we marked some point and now we need to see the next race.
Well, it's points for the team, but the team should be disappointed because Olivier should have been on the podium if there hadn't been the misunderstanding in the pits. On my side, it was a very hard race. There was some kind of problem on the first set of tires. I think maybe a puncture or something, and the car started bouncing a lot, so I had to come in early. And as soon as I came in the pits, the differential broke, and I had the two wheels completely independent, and it made the car very difficult to drive. And then somehow we weren't ready when I came in for wet tires, and I was very surprised about that because we had problems last year with the wet. It was raining in Malaysia, and we knew it was going to rain here, so we should have been ready.
I always said the championship isn't over. It's far from over, in my view, and now it has been proven.
Just confirming the results for you. David Coulthard wins in Sao Paulo. Michael Schumacher in second place. Heidfeld up there on the podium for the first time. Excellent run from Olivier Panis in the BAR. Trulli getting the points for Jordan, and Giancarlo Fisichella just 1 point for Benetton. So then 6 points for the world champion, his first defeat since the end of August at Spa. David Coulthard's first win in Brazil takes him into a clear second place, and Heidfeld fourth behind the unfortunate Barrichello. Meantime, in the constructors, Ferrari stay top, 15 clear of McLaren, and Sauber, remember they had to withdraw their cars here last year for safety reasons. Well, they find themselves third above Jordan. Stormy old night here in Sao Paulo. We'll do our best to make a bit of sense for you in the middle of it all. Tony Jardine, let's go back to when it was dry at the start of the race.
I mean, we were denied, unfortunately, that great brotherly charge towards the first corner. Very tardy start by Ralf Schumacher there, but getting past and squeezing through on the inside with David Coulthard, truly going the other side. He actually has a nudge with Ralf Schumacher. Montoya's got through to second place. Schumacher's already well away at the front, and Hakkinen, waving furiously, made sure that nobody hit him.
What's occurring with Hakkinen at the moment, Mark? 1 point from 3 races.
Yeah, it's not good, and the world champion of old is under some immense pressure, and frustration starting to show. He's not enjoying himself at this moment in time.
You've been building up Juan Pablo Montoya ever since you joined us. You've raced against him. What he did to Schumacher would have surprised a few people, but not you.
Didn't surprise me at all. This guy does not take any prisoners. Watch him here coming into turn one. Look, squeezes underneath Michael Schumacher. Yes, there's Mr. Ferrari there. That's the world champion. Pushes him outside, gets on the curb, accelerates away and leaves him for dust. And Michael's lucky not to be overtaken anymore.
When people ask Rubens Barrichello, what sort of race did you have in your home city? I would think he'd punch him in the mouth, and he's had an absolutely awful time here, hasn't he?
Oh, it's been so disappointing for him. The amount of pressure on his shoulders as well. Everybody's been here for Rubens Barrichello, but this kind of mistake's unusual. Look, Ralf Schumacher's floating around the middle of the road. Rubens hits him from behind, takes off everything there. The wheel goes adrift, and there he is in the gravel, and it's the end of his day. But what a disappointment for that guy.
He was unhappy with Ralf Schumacher there. I know it's tough, Mark, but from those pictures, can you make any sort of feelings about what went on there?
Difficult to say, maybe just a lapse of concentration for Rubens, but he cannot do that anymore during the season.
Okay. We were looking to Montoya. We thought perhaps in only his third race he was going to satisfy all the Colombian fans here. And then along came Mr. Verstappen.
Verstappen, the hero of Malaysia in the wet. He finally finished 7th, but he was in 9th place. Moves out of the way very well, very politely. Through goes Juan Pablo Montoya. Tucks right behind him, seems to miss his braking. Maybe he had his clogs on, I don't know. But Montoya is off and out. Verstappen now is the villain of Brazil, having been the hero. Had a big crash here in '94. Last year he nearly fell asleep. If you remember, he got jumped by Button and he got sent on fitness training because he was falling asleep.
Well, just a little doze there, who knows. David Coulthard, though, we have to talk about him, and he produced a move here that will go down, well, certainly is the best of this season, and perhaps be rated with all-time great moves in Formula One.
It was a very good move. It was similar to the Spa move of last year with Hakkinen, but look what goes on. Look, he's in an immense amount of spray, can't see much, comes up to Marquez, splits the guy. Schumacher makes a small error as well, and he's underneath him. Gets tucked in, but the move's done and dusted, and he is away, and he drove a tremendous race today. Outstanding.
And he's carrying McLaren single-handed almost, and team boss Ron Dennis, though, Mark, wasn't exactly ecstatic after the race. I couldn't quite work that out.
That's RD for you. Ron's a little bit cold at times, but I'm sure that he's enjoying every minute of this, but he doesn't show it sometimes.
No, he doesn't. He keeps his feelings well under wraps, doesn't he? Tony, you remember last year Sauber had to pull the cars out of this race because they'd had the wings bumped around, didn't they? But what compensation for them here with Heidfeld up there on the podium?
Tremendous compensation after the embarrassment last year, the rear wing breaking off. Willy Ramph, who's the technical director, Jackie Egelhardt, they've had a couple of third places before with Johnny Herbert in Hungary 97, 98 in Belgium with a lazy, but truly deserved it. This Ferrari engine, this whole package superb, and Heidfeld, the man from Mönchengladbach, superb driving.
Fantastic entertainment this Grand Prix provided for us, though.
I think it's been superb. I mean, we all enjoyed it here in the studio. The fans out there loved it, but Williams are back. Ferrari are now worried about, I think, BMW, and McLaren are there or thereabouts to give great breathing space before Italy.
Final thoughts from you?
Great race. I can't wait for the next one, but what a tremendous spectacle, and I think everybody enjoyed it.
Indeed we did. We're going to grab a brolly and a few raincoats before we get out of here. Our next port of call is Imola, the San Marino Grand Prix, where David Coulthard will once again look to take on the world champion in Ferrari's backyard. Good night, children.